drunk drivers wherever you see them. And no one lets Shatner in, whatever happens. There's another guy with a funny hat driving another car. I think he's from England. I'm going to kind of sit out with all Kate has just been honking the horn for 10 minutes. I'll sit out in the audience.
Have a seat, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome.
Hey, do it.
Welcome everyone here. This is a monumental occasion. I'm Claire Kramer.
Claire, you are a monumental occasion.
Thank you guys so much.
My telephone number is...
That's a great question. When you were first approached
When I was first approached,
to do Star Trek,
yes,
there had been a pilot, and it had not gone.
the
And
pilot had not sold.
you received a call. What was your reaction to them approaching you for this role and to be part of this series?
I was so gloriously enthused to be offered a job. Well, the well-recounted story that I'm sure most people know about, and I'll do it very quickly, was I was in New York City doing something, and I received a call from Gene Roddenberry, who asked me to come to Los Angeles to look at a pilot called Star Trek, starring Jeffrey Hunter. And I came to Los Angeles, and I saw this wonderful piece of film that needed a little adjustment here and there, but it was really terrific. And I agreed to be in it, and then people made their suggestions, I made some of mine, and we made a second pilot, and then that sold. And that's essentially the story.
And that was the start of history.
And that is the story.
Patrick, I have a question for you, Patrick. Okay, you can do an interpretive dance or song. Well, Patrick, you're known as a classically trained actor, but I read an interesting quote that you learned how to do good work and also have fun at the same time while filming your series. Can you tell us a little bit about how you were able to transition? There's the interpretation going on right now.
Actually, Scott was asking me about my love life. Is that
We'll take your phone number.
Well, it was like this. I was a pain in the butt when we started shooting the series. For one simple reason, I was scared. And I was scared all the time. Scared that I wouldn't be able to do the job, scared they'd fire me, scared that I would show up one day and I wouldn't know my lines. And so I overreacted to that fear by taking it all terribly seriously. And there is now, I think, almost legendary afternoon when I called the cast, the principal actors of Next Generation together. And as I had the role of the captain and was certainly the oldest actor in the group, I thought it was my responsibility to straighten a few things out, and I told the guys I thought we were fooling around too much, having too much of a good time, there was too much messing about, and that we didn't understand that although we got days off from time to time, the crew and the staff were there 5 days a week, 12, 14, 16-hour days, and I went on in this tone at length. And you should have seen the rolling eyes and the raised eyebrows and the sighs until Denise Crosby said, "Patrick, we gotta have some fun." And I said, quite famously, "We are not here to have fun." I blushed, I'm ashamed. However, the cast straightened me out. They broke me. Exactly. Did you hear that? That what Scott said was they broke me. They broke me and they did indeed teach me you can do good work and you can have a great time as well. And my lasting memory of Next Generation is laughter.
Mr. Avery. The Cisco stare, famous. But I have a question for you, a serious question. You were quoted, I think, by TV Guide, saying that the young African-American male generation really didn't see their future past 19 or 20, and that you felt your character gave them foresight and gave them something to look to. Can you expand on that? And also, do you see any roles in today's television programming that liken to your character?
I can answer the last question first. No.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just the observation. I don't mean anything further. The answer is clearly no. When you deal, you just look at the history of Star Trek, etc., that it clearly spent a lot of time thinking about what it wanted to say before it said it. You see? So the answer is no. And part of the reason, I think, is the lack of a certain kind of thoughtfulness. I don't mean exclusively, but there it is. But now this idea of children not being able to see the horizon. Well, I mean, I think that is unfortunately endemic, to this part of the world at least, where we don't remember what happened 2 weeks ago, let alone 20, or do not connect with what went before and why we're here, and therefore where we're going. When you think about children planning their funerals because they don't think they will live, past their teens, that's what I was referring to, not exclusively African American children, but the notion that you could see yourself and see yourself whole some 400 years hence, I think is the most important part of it. And that's what I meant by all of that. Because, it's not about brown children or not. It is, unfortunately, a part of our history where, to be brown and male and American is an issue. It's a hazard. It's part of this inextricable relationship between racism and sexism and, you see, things that we have to figure out yet.
Thank you. Kate, on Voyager. I noticed when watching the series that there was a definite contrast in your femininity between the first season and the second season. That the first season you were almost made to be manly, and the second season you were allowed to be a female who was in control. Can you tell us how that came about, and how you kind of spoke with the producers and writers about that?
Yes.
Thank you.
Speaks to Patrick's point, too. If he was terrified, as the first Englishman to be cast in the role of Patrick, can you imagine how everybody felt when the first woman stepped on the brink? I mean, the people in charge were very, very nervous, right? I was of childbearing years, and I was a girl. I had bosoms and I had hair. And all of these things did not fit the demographics. You know what I'm talking about? Mr. Stewart, with all due respect, no bosoms. No hair. So for the first season, they just spent all of their time, all of their energy, and all of their focus on strapping in my bosom, fixing my hair. I had 12 or 15 different hairdos, working with my voice, my stride with them, and I finally went to them, guys, and I said, listen, if you don't leave me alone, it's not going to work. because the audience is smarter than you guys are. That's why it is a vast, universal, and highly intelligent audience. They will trust me if you allow me to command this ship. Now, I warrant you, I missed the gas station. My mistake. Let me correct it by being myself, and let these young men come to me of their own volition. And that's what they did, and that's why the second season I was so gloriously sexy.
With Enterprise, he's got the dual mic going on, just so we get everything, every enunciation. When you were approached, I heard that you were quite nervous about following these other 4 captains, and then when you learned that your series was actually a prequel, you were more open to accepting the role. Can you tell us still about the pressures you felt?
Well, I wouldn't have had my series been after Kate's, I wouldn't have taken the job. I was thinking all those thoughts in my head because they were expecting me to be jumping up and down. Oh, thank you for that lovely offer to do the show. And I was in my head going, how am I going to say no? And then they said, and the great thing about this, you're 100 years before Kirk. And right in my head, immediately I was in. I was completely there because I knew that I wouldn't have to follow any of these fabulous people. And so I could screw up all on my own, and nobody, and you folks who know all of our work better than we know our own work, wouldn't be able to yell at me for, when Kate would take the bridge, she would do such and such, and every time so it was a chicken's way out, but happily it worked out for me.
It did work out. Okay, we're going to go to the audience, and I'd like to start over here. Could the first person step up to the mic? There you go.
All right, I have to confess something. I'm not a Trekkie. I've only seen 1 episode, and I've got 2 non-Trek related questions for...
Whose episode? What episode have you seen?
Be very careful with your answers. I saw The Trouble with Triples.
Raise your hand so they can tell who there he is.
My question for Mr. Shatner is, what got you interested in horses? And my question for Miss Mulgrew is, what was it like being Mrs. Strang in Equus?
So I heard Kate say what, and I'm saying, what was your question for me? Maybe I should answer Kate's question. What was your question?
What got you interested in horses?
Horses.
Yes.
There's a science fiction question. I've always been interested in horses. They're, arguably among the most beautiful animals. And I've always had a yen to ride and ride well. As I learned to ride and as I practiced more and more, I got to be able to communicate with the animal. You think you're communicating with your dog or your cat because you live with it, but in fact you're talking to it and assuming that the dog or the cat or whatever your pet is understanding you. But you know that the horse is listening to you or not because you're on its back and it's telling you yes, no, or I'm indifferent to this. So there's an actual conversation going on between a horse and the rider. If you're a sophisticated enough rider, you could have that conversation. I wish to go here. Well, I don't want to go there. Maybe you'd like, no, I don't want to go there. And you have that conversation, and it's a discussion, and you should win that. You should make moves to make your part of the discussion paramount, because otherwise the horse will do what it wants, and that may involve going into a brick wall. But that's the love of horse, the communication between this beautiful animal and yourself. That's the love of horses.
Thank you. And Kate Mulgrew, my question was, what was it like being Mrs. Strang in Equus on Broadway?
I don't know because I didn't play Mrs. Strang.
Oh,
I played Esther Salad.
okay. What was it like anyway?
Well, seriously, did you so enjoy the performance?
I didn't see it.
What specifically liked about it?
I never saw it.
Great fun. Thank you.
Okay,
Great
thank
fun.
Thank you. All right, let's go over here, please.
Well, first, I'd like to say that I am a Trekkie. I appreciate the fact that all of you are wonderful actors and have done so much outside of Star Trek, too. So I'd like to know, is there one dream role, either on Broadway or in film, that you've always wanted to play, but you've never had a chance to? And I'd just like to hear from all five of you on that.
No. And that's how he teaches classes at the university that he's a professor at. They ask a question, and you say, yes. And you've got to take your lesson. For me, I just closed on Broadway in a one-man show. And all the things I've done, because I was creating it, writing it, and doing all this, it was the biggest, largest, most profound challenge that I've ever had as an actor. And so I'm resting a little on the exhaustion of that escapade.
I do have a bucket list, but in the last 4 years, I hit 2 of them. It was Cleopatra last year, and 2 years before that was Clytemnestra. Those are 2 of mine. And I think what I would I'm longing to play is Arkadna in Chekhov's The Seagull.
Could I play your Nina?
Yes, well, this guy.
I'd like to star as William Shatner in his one-man show.
The thing is, you have to sing. Well, no, you understand. He's a great singer. You know him. You all know him. He's on Broadway as a singer. You didn't know. I don't think I've ever told you that I went to a musical many years ago, so many years ago, and I saw this glorious performance on something or other. And I remember to this day that actor, and then I met him, and he was the guy that was in the musical. He's got a glorious singing voice. That's what I meant. Sing for us. Sing for us.
Woo! Sing for us!
And we may run out of time if we do that. So, Patrick?
This has given me an idea. I have been a sometime producer. Let me pitch this to you. William Shatner's one-man show, starring William Shatner. But after the opening night, no audience will ever know when they go to see the William Shatner one-man show whether they will see William Shatner as William Shatner or Avery Brooks as William Shatner or Kate Mulgrew as William Shatner or Bakula as William Shatner.
William Shatner is Avery Brooks. So.
question that you asked the others quickly, very quickly. Yeah, like Kate, I have a bucket list too, but one of them is coming up, and I can't tell you what it is, but I will just say to you, fall 2013 Broadway.
That's the next question. What do you can't tell us? I'm not going to go any further than this room.
Stay right here.
Work on it.
Stay here. All right, can we go to you, sir? Can you reach the mic? There you go.
I have a question for William Shatner. Even Mr. Shatner.
I'm a little embarrassed by getting so many questions.
What was your favorite superhero when you were
What was my favorite one?
Superhero. Your favorite superhero
Oh, my favorite superhero
growing up.
growing up. I didn't know it, but it was Stan Lee. I was into those comic books and all those characters and stuff like that. And then I met Stan, and he's got that peculiar brain.
So you were a Marvel boy.
I'm a Marvel comic book hero.
All right. Over here, please.
All right, I know all of you have starred in other things besides Star Trek. I know Patrick Stewart's been in X-Men, Scott Bakula in Quantum Leap. All of you, what was your favorite role, including Star Trek, what's been your favorite role that you've ever played?
Favorite role that you've ever played?
William Shatner and the William Shatner.
Yeah, that's true. Mine too. My run is Bill Shatner.
It's a classic.
Paul
Mine
Lewis.
is Drag.
He was glorious in that. They talk about singing and all his other talents, his musical talents as well as his acting talents. That was a glorious moment in theatrical history. You look good.
Maybe.
Well, I'm looking at you.
All right, I like it.
That's crazy. I tell you, I don't know about the other actors. I'd like to throw it open to that kind of discussion about that question. Favorite role. For me, once you've done the role, it was great. It was fun. It either wasn't quite as good as you expected it to be. It was better than you expected it to be. Whatever expectations you had that were met or unmet, it's gone. It's ephemeral. A role, especially in the theater, is over. On film, it lasts a little bit longer, but not that long. I mean, within 3 or 4 years, people have forgotten what it was, except for things like Star Trek. But mostly, an actor's role is gone, and it's the next thing that is really what you're looking forward to. I'd like to ask the rest of the actors on the stage what they think about that.
Favorite roles?
What's
Past, present. My favorite role was probably my wonderful Joe, Catherine Pepper.
Macbeth.
Othello.
Professor Going back to what I was saying earlier about not having fun, all those qualities came together for me in a two-man show that I did, and I did it only about 2 years ago in New York, played by David Mamet called Life in the Theater. And the reason why I choose that is because I had a wonderful co-star in TR Night, but in that play, in that production, which has a certain poignancy in its ending, I had more actual fun on stage than I've had at any other time in my life. So I think for that reason only, I would put that at the top of my list.
Stop arguing!
Scott, do you have a favorite? Do you have a favorite one? Don't miss a beat.
In the theater, it would be Three Guys Naked from the Waist Down. Television, it would be Sandman.
All right, let's go over here, please.
Okay, as you can see, a lot of us really like Star Trek a lot. Kind of a shock. Well, my question to all 5 of you is, do you see what we see in Star Trek, the love that we have for it, or do you see it as just another TV show and we're all just crazy?
What does Star Trek mean to you?
Can I invite someone else to answer that first? I'm meditating.
Absolutely. Any takers?
Well, I can start off by saying that I defer to Mr. Brooks. I've done a documentary called, in this country it would be called Get a Life, and in Canada it would be called Fanatics. And it's a discovery of what you all are doing here at a convention, sci-fi convention. And I get into some great depth of what we're all doing here. And Star Trek becomes something far larger than what I ever thought it was. And I wrote a book about it called Get a Life, about the people who come here. I've discovered as a result of making this documentary that this cultural phenomenon that we know as Star Trek, and on a larger sense science fiction, is far bigger, far more meaningful than many of us think. That we are here right now participating in a mythological experience, and that's what Fanatics or Get a Life will be about.
Great. All right, why don't we go over here?
Good afternoon. I would like to thank the group for many wonderful years of entertainment and value growing up. Many of you are part of my life. Really glad to have the opportunity to speak with you this afternoon. Thank you. My question for you, one of the things that I really love about the Star Trek franchise is its ability to inspire, especially in the area of technology speculation. The gadgets and gizmos that Star Trek really first planted in our communities have grown up. We all have cell phones, which started off as communicators. We all have tablets, which started off as, tablets. The next generation. My question to you is there some gadget or gizmo that you've used in Star Trek that you are amazed is actually a real-life thing today? Or is there some gadget or gizmo that you said, God, this is the dumbest thing ever, and it is still a gadget or gizmo today?
Any standout items on the show that any of you guys used for?
Because of I increasingly struggle with the one aspect of what we do, which is now giving me such a bad time, and that is learning lines and remembering them. And so I would like to have had the ability that it seems Data the android had, which was an instant recall of anything that he heard or read or saw. It would be such a help.
We're going to go that way. I'd like a holiday. That was Gateway's only romantic/sexual relief. And they were always 5'4" Irishmen. It made no sense to me at all.
I look forward to beaming.
I believe it is to beam or not to beam. My experience would involve the people I've met, who, as a result of seeing Star Trek, had careers. And we've all nodding our heads. We've all come up with, from people like yourselves, who come to us in one form or another, ethereal or material, and said their lives, their life course was changed as a result of Star Trek. One that comes immediately to mind is a guy who is now heading Canada's largest airplane manufacturing company, who became an aeronautical engineer because of Star Trek, and now is making these wonderful airplanes that take people around in almost science fiction fashion. They're so fast and efficient.
I don't know if you guys obviously have a correlation with NASA, and a lot of times when episodes would air, the funding would go up for NASA programs and vice versa. Have you guys all been to rocket launches, or any of you?
I'm the only one who was around when NASA was putting out the photos. Everybody else is so much younger, I can't stand it. All these little guys, I mean, they're all junior. They've had their whole lives in front of them. But NASA was a partner in many ways to discover.
Yes.
I had the great good fortune to speak for about 45 minutes to the International Space Station a few years ago, which was really kind of to the guys to the American on the space station. And he later sent me a video of life on the space station, and that was pretty great. And I could only talk to him until he went past, and his side of the earth and disappeared, and then that was the end of our conversation, which was bizarre, but really, really, really cool. And we sent him some, DVDs from our show and stuff. And it was up there, and he's like, thanks for the, DVDs. I was like, yeah, cool. And he's gone, very good.
Scott, I didn't know you had done that, and I know what a wonderful experience it was because it happened to me too. There was only one non-Russian, non-American commander at the International Space Station, and he was a Belgian. He is a Belgian called Frank de Win, and Frank chose me to talk to during his time on the station, and lots of amazing things happened. My first question to him was, as perhaps yours was, why would a real astronaut want to meet a fake astronaut? It doesn't make any sense. But he held up in front of the camera on the space station his photograph of the current crew. There was a Canadian, there were two Americans, there was a Russian, there was Frank from Belgium. I can't remember who the other one was, and they were all wearing our uniforms. And I said, that's great. How brilliant to be able to Photoshop all your heads. And Commander DeWitt said, no, we were wearing.
For Mr. Stewart. I've been watching Star Trek since I was like 12 years old, and I was just at the Chris Hemsworth Q&A, and a lot of girls were asking for hugs, but I would much rather hug you than Chris Hemsworth.
This sentiment is much appreciated. We can't take hugs right now up front, but
Okay.
jumps down that fast, that should jars your head, you can forget everything.
It was amazing, wasn't it? How about you over here?
Hi, so my question is for all 5 captains, so eventually Sir Patrick when he gets back too. But my question is for all of you, for whatever parts of the Star Trek franchise you filmed, be that just the TV series or also the movie, what was the most interesting part for you to film, either an episode, a single scene, and why?
What was the most interesting part of an episode for you to film?
Or movie?
Or creepy? I can answer that. Go ahead. An episode, whether difficult, interesting, or creepy, something that stands out. Maybe.
Nimoy is very creepy.
Yeah, the Vidius, the organ eater, very, very creepy.
All right.
Okay.
Let's go to this Megan. Perhaps they'll think their creepy, interesting moments. Go ahead.
First of
I'll
all,
quickly say, one of our most interesting times were when we recreated Mr. Shatner's entire ship and uniforms, etc., and we did it in the Mirror Darkly, and it was a flip side of their world, but it was our world flipped, and it was you guys know. What's you guys know version 24 of these versions, but that was bizarre because people from all over the Paramount block came to see the original bridge, and people were just beside themselves to get out there and kind of like touch it and look at everything, and it was surreal. It was really, really cool. Bill would come do it, but everybody else.
One night on Planet Hell, stage 16, we were, Michael Dorn and Gates McFadden and I were shooting a scene in which Gates McFadden was trapped under a rock fall, or something like that. She was jammed into these rocks, and we had worked out that there was one way that we could free her, that we had to do something, like blast something away, and then pull her out quickly. And I was the one who was going to pull her out, and this moment came, and it had to be done very kind of abruptly. And the moment came, action, the thing happened, and I reached in, and I grabbed Gates by both breasts.
Started having fun on the set.
Hello, my name is Bridget, and I just want to thank Scott Bakula and his crew because they're the only series that ever had an episode take place in Pennsylvania, Doylestown specifically, just about an hour there. So thank you for that. I have 2 quick questions. One's for Bakula and Shatner together, because they have something in common, which I'm going to put out. And the third question is for Kate Mulgrew. Okay, Bakula and Shatner. Sorry to use last name. Mr. Bakula, Mr. Shatner. Okay. You have something in common. Both of you were involved in television shows, which were 2 of my favorite shows of all time, Boston Legal and Men of a Certain Age. And those shows were unique in the fact that they each explored male friendships in a way that is rarely seen on television or film. And I wanted you to both talk about how that affected you personally, or if those friendships also carried off the stage, because particularly Mr. Shatner and James Spader, you seem to have an unbelievable intimate relationship that was a little bit questionable for sleepovers, whatever. But how did that affect you? And your relationships with other men in your own lives? Back when you did those shows?
Okay. She wants to know my relationship with James Spader. Have you ever seen James Spader naked?
I can't say that I have.
Yes, you have?
No, I can't say that.
I don't think she would reveal that.
The bromance you're talking about.
Yeah, the romance, yeah.
Well, each one of your series, of your editions of Star Trek, I think everybody has a bromance there. The Captain and Spock. There is. You know, let me amplify that question to everybody here about what a friendship is and what their concept of a friendship is. Why is that eliciting laughter? What is a friend? And in this fictional area, like Kirk and Spock, which I know more about than the other shows, what constitutes a friendship, and how does that work, and what are you willing to sacrifice for a friend? Where does it go? In a fictional sense, you can do anything, but in a practical sense, where does friendship go? Absolutely.
How about Mr. Bakula?
I'm tossing that over to you. Do you have a friend other than a lover? I'm talking directly to you. Look at you. You're not wearing your glasses.
Do I have a friend other than a lover? Are you crazy? I believe, as Samuel Johnson said, lo, these many years ago, friendship is the single greatest gift given to man, right? Yeah. Romance comes and goes. The rest of it is transient, ladies and gentlemen. But a friendship, you elect to love someone unconditionally without sex, simply because it is your right as a human being to exercise that depth of feeling with someone of your choice. I have 7 very close friends. Maybe I have one lover. What do you think? Do you have 7 lovers? 1 friend?
There was a time.
Okay, yeah.
Wait a second.
Yes,
Is she? This question is for Mr. Shatner. I've been watching you for many, many years. I won't give away either of our ages. So my question is, a couple of years ago, the new Star Trek came out, and it had all the portrayals of the characters from the original series when they were younger. And Chris Pine played a young Captain Kirk. What did you think of his portrayal of your character as a young man?
I think Chris Pine has all the equipment, vocally, physically, and emotionally, to be a big star. I think he will be one of our big stars as time goes on. He's got it all. I'm thrilled with what he's doing on Star Trek.
Thank you.
Yes. Hi, I just want to thank all of you for bringing so much to Star Trek and allowing it to become such a huge phenomenon and bringing all these people together. I'm actually waiting for a kidney transplant, and the majority of the people who are willing to donate I've met through playing Star Trek online. So, I mean, Star Trek is really giving me hope to live a long life. Where are you in the process of waiting for your transplant? I just got on the transplant list a couple weeks ago. So hopefully it's coming soon. Just a few weeks ago, you said? Just a few weeks ago? But I met a guy from England who's willing to travel here to give me a kidney from Star Trek, and someone in Canada. So I mean, it's you guys are giving me a lot of hope. Yeah, I am.
You'll get that.
You get it.
Thank you.
I want to say one thing. We're only here, and I firmly believe this, we're only here because you're here. That's the truth. We don't have TV shows that people don't show up to watch them. Mine got canceled last year. I know what I'm talking about. So it's right back at you, really. We're here because you're here. This thing started 47 years ago. So thank you to all of you who are in this room right now.
Yes. Hi, you're all so amazing. I grew up with you in a way you raised me, and today's my birthday, so I really want to say thank you. And I was wondering what it was like to work with Major Barrett, and if you could talk about her, because she was a constant throughout all of the Star Treks. Can you repeat that last part of the question? Major Barrett, Roddenberry, if you could talk about her.
How was it to work with her?
How was it to work with her? Did anyone? Okay, I'm sure the computer.
I suppose it's up to me. It was immensely entertaining because Major was not only for us on the Next Generation a significant link to the original series, but she was the wife of the creator of the series, and she always brought onto the set outrageous energy and charming vulgarity. And usually gave me a pretty bad time because of the relationship between Picard and Laxana. So I enjoyed her visits for a long time, but you know, I'll confess something I've never confessed before. And it must not go beyond this. But it was about 3 years into our series before I discovered that she was the voice of the computer.
All right. Sadly, we have time for just one more question.
Can I say something before we
Yes,
go?
absolutely.
I've been needing to say this every time I got a chance to speak. But half of you arrived and we had already started. You weren't late. This thing got pushed back. So you didn't miss anything. It's just that we all got so bored back there waiting, we just decided to come up and start anyway. So don't think that you were out of place or wrong or late or anything, and you didn't miss a single thing.
And you can go a little longer because you did start early, so I'm sure everyone appreciates that. Yes.
Hey, I have a deeply profound question for all of you. And Avery, I'd like you to answer first. Is there any chance that we're going to see any of you on Dancing with the Stars? Look at the fan base! Come on, people!
Crossing over to Dancing with the Stars. I think I know what Avery's going to say.
No.
But there you have it.
I'm not, no. But what I want to say before since it's the last time I'm on the microphone, is I did a documentary on the 5 captains and got to know these 4 people. Although it was brief in terms of time, it was very, very substantial for me. Conversations I've had with all of them. I knew, with the exception of Patrick, I knew them very little. They are the loveliest, most talented, most giving, most vulnerable, most exciting people I know. They are, I think of them as friends of mine now as a result of my experience on the captains, and what you think of them as actors is really true. They are extraordinary people, and I'm very proud to know them.
Dancing with the Stars, or any other last thoughts that you would like to get out there?
I'll do the tango with you, Bill. That should be a ratings booster.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much.